buenos días. Así es temprano en la mañana, pero ven aquí, ven aquí. Un gato, dos gatos, tres gatos. Allí. Sí. Bienvenido a Dice en Español, which is just a way for me to document my language learning journey. From the title, I also have some notes here, so if you see me looking down, that's why. We're gonna start with Spanish. Eventually, maybe I can branch out to, you know, French, Portuguese, Italiano, so on and so forth. Spanish though, I technically 6th grade, you know, formal Spanish. However, to be honest, I would participate in weekly flea markets with my family. And when I say participate, I totally mean working, trabajando in flea markets. And I would speak with other Spanish speakers. So whenever they would come up, it would be, you know, like, hola, buenos días. Ten un buen día, que tengas un buen día. How much, cuántos, you know, how old are you? Simple things like that. Basic cash handling, simple math, you know, uno, dos, tú dale, no más, dos más. Super simple Spanish. I was in elementary to middle school, so it wasn't anything crazy, like I said. So we're just going to kind of run through my journey since then, and then I will tell you how I plan on being fluent by the end of next year. Hopefully a lot sooner than that. But yes, so 6th grade, I had the same teacher all the way in middle school. 3 things I remember from her are yarn, weird, and then I remember bringing in bulgogi. It was the first and the last time I ever brought in some food. Everyone ate it. I also remember her always saying bote chicle, throw out the gum, sit down, shut up, and that was basically it with her. And then in high school, I really got into the thick of Spanish. I also would like to mention that my mom had a friend named Wendy who would teach us, or her, Spanish, Latin cuisine. And so that was like my first little intro into the cultural aspect of Spanish. So that was really cool, really nice. I'm talking yellow rice, red rice, really simple. There was another one, I can't remember, but it's like, I don't want to say the wrong thing and then you come for me, but it's like chicken, it's potato, it's really good. It's like a soup. I actually had a first class, they house sit his house for him, and they made us this. Oh my gosh, it was so good. And the way his wife cooked, what was it? I think it was like a type of salsa. It was so good, but she would like put like a mango lime on it. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. We're getting ahead of ourselves. So that was right around the time in high school when my mom started introducing the Latin cuisine after, you know, 6th grade, and we were asked to bring in our own, you know, cultural background food. So then I also had a couple of friends that lived up the street from us. We called it a hill, so like if you drive up the hill, there's a bunch of houses. Anyway, so we had a couple of friends that would come and introduce us to certain seasonings, little candies, maybe I'll post some. And it was like really cool because once again, it was a different side of just speaking it. It was just now eating it. And I heard from Benny Blanco recently, and he was just like, food is the best social lubricant, and I agree, Mr. Benny. So I would eat, you know, their foods and stuff and their candies, and then I would pass that on. Moving forward to high school, I was heavy into sports. I was also a student trainer at probably just about every game, unless there was like a baseball game and say like a track meet on the same day, you know, like 2 different sports on the same day, I wouldn't go. But like I was at every single thing. And so the baseball team had a lot of Spanish speakers, and they also had big families. So it would be the brothers and the sisters, and I would just be talking with them. And I don't know if they thought like I knew a lot of Spanish, but they would definitely be saying it here and there. And so I was kind of picking up with that and just kind of hanging around them so I could hear like the basic slang terms, and then also just see mannerisms and more food and different aspects of Spanish speakers. And also I learned very quickly that there is a difference in Spanish speakers. You know, there's Puerto Rican, there's Dominican, there's Venezuelan, so much, okay? Yes, so I actually had 2 high school teachers. I am only going to talk about one. She was also my Spanish, or yes, she was my Spanish teacher and my track coach. Wow. The professionalism, the way she captured Spanish and was able to teach us in such simple terms was beautiful. I really enjoyed the class through and through, and it was very engaging. Like, it was awesome. And we had worksheets, and we would like be in class talking. So it was always to get you prepared to actually talk with Spanish speakers. And she taught us slang, she taught us jokes. She was white and Mexican, and so like the flair she had when she spoke it too was really something to remember. And I think that's really what it was like. Spanish will be the first language that you learn aside from English. Also during this time, I remember her, and I don't know what he was exactly. He was like a principal or something, I don't know, at a different high school. I think they like went to college or something together. And she had me email him, so I emailed him in Spanish, and then he emailed me back in Spanish, and that was like really cool because not only am I talking it, not only were we writing it, but now here I am sending professional emails and receiving professional emails and like translating it. It was a lot of fun. I will probably make that its own separate video and see if I can just read it off. I'll show you guys just like a clean little blurb of it though. What else? During this time, you guys know I love the fitness. I had a friend who, me and her, we used to hang out a lot. I always think back to like who I used to hang out with in high school and stuff, and it's just so funny, but I remember her inviting me to Zumba, and so we were doing Zumba in school, and it's another little cultural aspect, and it was mixing fitness with like a Latin flair, and so you're like dancing to the music and then having a good time. You're sweating, you're getting that workout in, so that was really, really cool. Let's see. After high school, like I said, I did that all throughout high school. A lot of fun. And then also, I really wish I would have had more support. And also, you really got to learn how to ask for things. But also, like, when you have so much going on, and like I said, I've been working for a very long time, and so like when those are your priorities, I guess it's kind of hard to like kind of ask for what you want. But I remember like what do they call them, like when the class goes on a trip during the summer or something, summer road trip, I don't know, you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyways, that came up and I was gonna do it, and then I don't even know why. Either it was definitely finances, which I could have, once again, if I would have had that support, they probably would have helped me figure out that. Or maybe it was just like my parents like not wanting me to go because they were so strict and stuff, or so many different things. I don't know, but that came up at the time, and I really wish I would have done that because I would have been even more in the paint, you know? What else? So, oh yeah, I got my second job at the YMCA, and I met a janitor, and this is another reason how I know all Spanish speakers are not the same. In fact, even if I'm learning about any language, instead of sounding the R word, I don't know if I can say that, you get the gist. It kind of rhymes with that, okay? I will ask like, do you do this, or do you eat this, instead of like assuming that they are, you know, because so the janitor was Dominican, and they speak fast, dude. Like, he speaks really fast, and granted, I speak really fast too, but imagine it in a language in which you do not speak. But anyways, I'm so thankful for him, because on my lunch breaks, when I would first get in, when he was sweeping or anything, he would like bring me along and be like, what's this? He'd like point in the vending machine and be like, what's this? Order me this. What buttons would I press? If we were at lunch and we were just eating, he would just be like, you know, what am I doing? What time is it? And he would do it in a way where it was like, I'm not even gonna speak English. You're gonna learn. You're gonna actually learn. I'm here, why not? Really, really great dude. What else? So I think basically that was like my last little blurb with Spanish before I joined the Navy. And then I ended up joining the Navy, and I had so I had a job, and my job ended up changing. But let's talk about my job before it did change. So my first job in the Navy, there were two sides of the base that we were at. On the opposite side, that's basically where they had like the clubs, the bars, the food, so on and so forth. So there was a bar called Portside that on Tuesday nights they would turn it into Latin night and play, you know, all type of Spanish music. I'm talking and don't come for me, I know it's like really basic, ay papi, I love you, real poser wannabe Spanish speaking music, but it's part of my journey, and that's where I started. But like, they would play Suavemente, they would play Kevin Little, Turning Me On, they played Prince Royce, Face Without, or Something Without a Face, Song Without a Face, something like that. So many different things. And then yeah, like I would be out there dancing with the men and women who knew the songs, and it was just, once again, fitness and then Spanish, and I was like, dude, I love this. Sadly, it was only once a night, and then my job ended up changing, and that is when I basically everything changed, and I just stopped speaking Spanish, and life went a different way. But then I got out, and I've actually recorded this video quite a few times, and now that I'm thinking about it, I also took a Spanish class when I first started school. I think it's funny that I'm just now remembering that, but it's probably because I didn't really like the class, because it was not in the way that my high school teacher taught it. It was like a college level class, but it just wasn't engaging. It wasn't like, it just felt like college, which it was, but I don't know. I feel like if you're teaching a language class, a beginner one at that, you want to make it, I don't know. Who am I? And yeah, so I kind of gave up on it a little bit, and I've been kind of playing with Duolingo. Don't recommend, because I'm only doing it for the streak. Then I got a tutor, didn't like her. Got a second tutor, she was really good, but if anyone knows anything about tutoring, they are quite expensive, and I didn't cancel in time, and they like kept charging my cards. I was like, you know what, let me just wait a minute and figure out how I'm going to study Español. And so then I joined a journaling group, and the leader of the group is a freaking polyglot, okay, really good at what she does. And so there came a time in the group where they were like, you know, tell us about what your goals, basically. And so I was just like, you know, I want to speak Spanish. And then literally everybody's head started bobbing, and they were like, oh, I speak Spanish. And I was just like, well, what's the best way, like, for you to learn Spanish? What would you do? And one girl was like, you know, I would sleep with it. And I was like, like, sleep with a dictionary? You know, like, I don't get it. And she was like, no, like, sleep with it, like, date it. And I was like, okay, all right. And I thought back, and I was like, I actually had like a Mexican and white boyfriend, but his he didn't speak much Spanish, which I've also learned, like, some people won't teach their kids Spanish if they have two different Spanishes. So quite a few people that I've met, like Puerto Rican Spanish and maybe Venezuelan Spanish, like just different Spanishes, they kind of clash. And so they won't even teach their children because it's just like, I don't know what to do, you know? Okay, so that's actually basically my journey this far. So let me know if you have any tips, what you'd like to see, or just anything cool, random things that I can study. We've been learning way too long, pero aquí estamos. Es hora, es tiempo, es hora, y mucho gusto. And I hope to see you next time. Ciao! Bye!